Actually, the ranking, unfortunately,
Hey.
Uganda is around 100 plus.
Yes, I saw somewhere there.
So we are still, it's work in progress. But you realize Europe is in green, much of Europe is in green because they learned from their mistakes.
Yes, from the past.
From the past. You realize Iceland, Ireland, you realize Switzerland, you have Luxembourg, you have Switzerland, you have Swaziland, you have many countries there. When we go back 100 years ago,
yes,
those countries were divided than any other part of the world. They had tribal wars than Africa. They, you know, they reached a time where they said, now what do we do? I think each person should have a government. They failed. Germany and Russia, they had a king. You know, the Germans were part of Russians. Many years ago, they had a king. And they had tribal wars.
Yeah.
They had very serious conflicts in Africa. So all those European countries, at one point, they were one. Ireland actually had to suffer religious wars. In 1880s, they had to slaughter each other, the Protestants and the Catholics, slaughtering each other like chicken. So at some point, just like the apartheid of South Africa,
yes,
you would see a Catholic having a toilet different from a Muslim. Oh, no, a Catholic and a Protestant. So when you go to the market, they had two separate markets. Public toilets, roads. So they had to spend a lot of money. So they learned that indeed we cannot go back to that because it kind of frustrated them, blocked them from realizing their full potential. Look at Germany. Germany had West Germany and East Germany.
Yes.
Capitalism and socialism divided Europe. So we have had issues with North Korea and South Korea. One tribe, one father, one people. But because of capitalism and socialism, North Korea is under the rations. And South Korea was a creation of the capitalistic countries like the United States. So we have had issues. For us, we are still lucky that we did have those kind of things.
But my people,
So
my people in Kawempe nearly pushed for cession, just like your people in Kasese wanted to do the same sometimes.
Yes, you see, to be a champion, you must have suffered. You do the extra. Others may be trained for 5 days. For you, you go for the whole month, non-stop, and you are eating poorly, you are sleeping poorly, you in the jungles. So look at that. When you come now for World Championship, those people usually perform better. So somehow Europe has gone through a lot. They killed one another. And they have learned that we don't want to go to those days.
Uganda is yet to have that situation.
Exactly.
So perhaps do we have to realize that to achieve what Europe is already enjoying?
Yeah, we are on the trajectory because 3 years ago we are not in the position we are in today. We are in 113 there, according to the Global Peace Index, and we are improving. We are a young nation. We just got our independence in 1962.
Recently.
Recently, we were controlled by the British.
We were protected.
Yeah, protectorate. Yes, protectorate.
Yes.
And somehow look at land. We didn't own land. The Queen of England literally signed the 1900 agreement with Uganda, and much of the land was being controlled by our protectorate masters. Kenya the same as a colony. The whole of Africa from 1884, 85 Berlin Conference took over Africa. So we were controlled by those Europeans. And look, how do you talk about peace when you are just a houseboy in a master's home? You don't have power to make laws that can kind of build peace. You don't educate your children about common shared values and principles. that build peace and a culture of service. So for the last many years, Africa has not stood. But when we go back to centuries back, at the 5,000 years ago, Africa used to take care of the world. We had the Egyptian civilization, African civilization. Anyway, it was not called Africa, it was called Akablayan. You know, Africa was the most civilized continent in the world, and we fed the world with civilization. Other countries, other continents didn't know how to bathe, even eating, you know. So we had harmony. We knew that peace, unity, and diversity was power. And you can imagine we knew how to help our wives give birth naturally
without a medical
we
knowledge.
The iron into we had industries manufacturing spears. We would make our own saucepans. We would make so we knew how to even build cities. Timbuktu,
Iron Age.
The education, we had the best university
in Mali. Actually, I understand the very first diploma in history was rewarded to and came from Mali.
Exactly.
Some good years in the 80s.
The richest people in the world were Africans. Mwasa Musa caused the inflation in Tunisia, Cairo, up to Saudi Arabia. Everywhere he would go would just be donating to these poor people. Now you can, and would donate and give to the rest of the world at interest-free rate. So when you're talking about Uganda and its performance in the Global Peace Index, talk about in the broader perspective on Africa. We have just 67 years ago is when we became Uganda. We were controlled. We lost our power. And so I must be able to actually accredit the president, Museveni, that our bad performance in the Global Peace Index in 1970, because 1970 Uganda was around number 3, the most feared, the most disastrous and safe country in the whole world.
Feared, disastrous and safe.
Yes, the World Bank could not even give us a loan, could not even, no tourists would come here. Actually, the Prime Minister of UK had to come and say, I have discovered a country, the Pearl of Africa. They are well organized, there is this, go and see what is there. No one would talk about Uganda, but somehow today we are not yes, they are 164, we in 100 around 13 level. Iceland is Ireland is number 1, and so maybe in the next 5 years we could find ourselves among the 50 because stability is coming more and more, and we call upon the families because peace begins in the family. And so if parents, the couples love each other, children will learn to love and forget and forgive and dialogue and work together. But if the family is in chaos, then I guarantee you Uganda will still deteriorate, because tribes are not united, political parties are fighting each other, religious leaders are competing as if they're in business of taking people to hell, not to heaven. And so the Global Peace Index must be an indicator. We must strive towards achieving better results by, one, making sure that our militarization and abuse of civic space also reduces. Human rights promotion increases, because according to the Global Peace Index, my brother, with better peace in families and no corruption, there is unity and diversity, there is accountability, good governance, rule of law, not manipulation of law, because there is where you are constructing a constitution to basically to manipulate the parliament, to manipulate people, and so there is no culture of peace. So if there are those things are available, those countries more often, 85%, are the ones with the strongest GDPs. You have heard about that. They are more prosperous economically. They are more invest in agriculture, in education, in health care.
Their stability propels them.
Their stability propels them to think that I think we need to build a nation. But now, the mindset is about buying more guns. Now, recruiting more soldiers, protecting our borders. But yet the fundamental development aspects are forgiven, are forgotten rather. So if I met the president again, I would wish that I share with him how nations without police, without even this army, without these
prisons,
how much they are running very fast in achieving even the SDGs. So we are talking about things that are not necessary, beating people with the tear gas. Just to teach them, tell the cultural leaders to do their work properly, the religious leaders very well. At least for you are doing your work well.
Asante.
And I think we will award you.
Asante.
So by turning this media into promotions of peace, it will become an ideology, it will become a culture, and everyone will say, okay, the judiciary should focus on justice, not who has a better lawyer. Can you imagine? Better lawyer who has more money to pay to win the case. It should be more to do with education, that you have won the case, yes, but you have the role to forgive your brother and your sister. You see, it is not just judiciary of who loses, who wins, and who should be jailed. No, it should be more to do with creating harmony, going into the community, teaching people the constitution of Uganda, that it is not all about losers and winners, but us versus them. It should be based on social cohesion. How do we at the end of the day turn a loser into a win also? You understand? And so I call upon Bob Wine to be also in Kololo and the other presidential candidates when President Museveni is swearing in, and that will send a good signal to the rest of the world that yes, in Uganda all of us are united and we accept losing or winning. And those who win are not necessarily winners. No, it means they are representing us and they are just like a head teacher. Being a head teacher does not mean you are not a teacher. You are still a teacher, and you can be fired for failing to be in the classroom teaching mathematics. You are only a head teacher because you are the one at that particular moment heading. But tomorrow, another one will head, and everyone must be given an opportunity to lead, because the leadership is service, and every Ugandan should be a leader in peace building.
Okay.